The question first, select the correct alternative and rewrite the sentence. Within that, first is C++ is dash programming language. Is it web based? Is it object oriented? Is it event driven, or none of these? Web based means we can create a web pages and websites, so it's not web based application. Is it object oriented? Yes, C++ is an object oriented programming language. So we are going to study the objects, classes, derived classes and all. So it's object oriented programming language. Dash data type stores integer value. Can store the integer value. It's very simple. Int data type will help us to store the integer value. You can see the primitive built-in data types. I have created this already. So you can see the boolean, character, integer, float, double and void. These are the data types, and you can see the second column, the keywords which we are using for these data types, and this is the size of the every data types. So boolean need 1 byte, character need 1 byte, integer need 2 or 4 bytes, float need 4 bytes, double need 8 bytes, void need 0 bytes. So why I am showing this chart? Because there are many questions from this chart, so you will understand the meaning and size of the data type. Okay, so integer stores whole number without decimal, and keyword is int. It means the answer is clear to you. This int data type stores integer value. Okay, the size of character data type is, just now we have seen there, the character data type need to store only one character, or it allows to store only one character, so we need 1 byte of memory space. Collection of homogeneous data element is known as, homogeneous means similar type of data elements. So where we can store the elements of a same data type, it's in array, because functions are the block of code or the functionality we write into that, and pointers points to the memory location. So array is the correct answer. Dash variable is used to store the memory address of another variable. So just now we discussed the pointers are used to store the address of another variable, because array stores homogeneous data elements. Functions are used to define the block of codes, and constants are used to define the constant variables. So the pointers holds the memory address of another variable. How much bytes of a memory does void occupy? Just now we have seen this. Void needs 0 byte of memory space, because we are not storing anything into the void. We just tell the compiler that there is nothing. Voids mean nothing, or the absence of value. So 0 bytes. Which of the following is the address of the operator? Star or asterisk is the operator we can use for the address of address of operator, and because single and is not an operator, double ampersand is used for and this is last one is or operator. Okay, identify the correct example of the post decrement operator. So n plus plus means post increment operator. So it will assign the value of a variable n and then it will increment the value. And the second one is it will assign the value of n variable to the respective variable, and then it will decrement the value. So the second option is correct over here, n minus minus. The question number 9, using which of the following data type can 19.54 be represented? Void will hold nothing. Double is used to store the fractional values. So 19.54 will be the value can store into the double, because integer will store only whole number and boolean used to store true and false. Just now we have seen this chart, so I will show you once again. You can see this chart. Double stores fractional numbers containing one or more decimal sufficient for storing 15 decimal digits. So floating and double are allowed to store the decimal values. Identify the logical AND operator. We know that we have used in one of our program that ampersand ampersand, the option second is used for AND operator. You can see these logical operators, which is logical and symbol is double ampersand, logical OR and logical NOT. Logical AND double ampersand returns true only if all the operands are true. Logical OR returns true if either of the operand is true, and logical NOT returns true if the operand is false or 0. I have explained this a bit detail in the operators in this same video, so please watch it. Question number 2. Attempt any 4 of the following. Within that, the C++ program to perform swapping of two numbers. Swapping of two numbers means exchanging the numbers within in two variables. Let's write one program which will explain in detail. File, new file, SWA, swap.cpp. First step is hash include iostream. iostream is an header file which will have the functionality for cin and cout, which we are going to use in our program. Then using name space std. Third statement is int main. Main is a name of a function and int is a return type of this function. This is a starting point of execution of our program. Compiler will start compilation or execution of the program from the main function. So we need to have two variables. First one is a is equals to 10 comma b is equals to 20. Now what our program need is we need to exchange the values of these variables with each other. Okay, so for this what we'll do, we'll take one more variable of integer type, and with the help of this third variable we'll exchange the value of these two variables. Otherwise, if we try to write the value a is equals to b, then the value of a will get destroyed and this value of b will get stored into a. Means currently both will hold the value of b only. So before assigning value of a b to the variable a, we need to preserve the value of a variable. So c will use c is equals to a, means c will hold the original. So original value of a is in the variable c, and now a is equals to 20, right? Now we can save the b is free and we can save the value of a, which is original value of a available in a c, will store into b, right? Now we can print the values with the help of cout and insertion operator, and then we can say value of a is and a. Cout value of b is, each and every line needs to end with the semicolon. Here and L, because we need to start the second statement on the second line, and we'll say return 0. Control S and run this program. You can see the values which are exchanged with each other are value of A is 20 and value of B is 10. So it's very simple. With the help of third variable, we have exchanged the value of both the variables. Second program, write a C++ program to calculate the factorial of number. You all know the meaning of factorial of a number. The factorial of a number is the product of all the integers from 1 up to that number. The factorial can only be defined for the integer number. The factorial of a negative number does not exist and the factorial of 0 is 1. So we'll add all these conditions or we'll try only for the positive number itself. So let's write the program to calculate the factorial of a given number. The first step is to include the header file. Include IOStream. IOStream is a header file which will include the input and output functionality, cin and cout. Then using namespace std. The actual code starts with the integer main function. The compiler start execution of the program from the main function and the code will be enclosed within this curly bracket. So don't forget to write down these brackets. Now we need to ask user to enter the number and we need to store that number somewhere. And second is we need to store the calculated value of a factorial and another variable. So we'll use two variables, int num comma fact. Fact is to store the factorial. We need to assign the value fact is equals to 1 because if we want to multiply we need to start with the 1. If we start with 0, the result will be final result will be 0. After that we need to ask user to enter the value to calculate the factorial. So cout, give space over here, then the entered value we need to capture into this num variable, and for that to capture the value we need to use cin function. This is extraction operator. This is insertion operator. Now we use for loop for int I is equals to, we need to start with 1 again because it's multiplication. I is less than equals to the num, means we need to calculate, we need to multiply till that number. So that is the reason we are using this I plus plus. The code should be within in a curly brackets. So what we'll do is fact is equals to fact multiplied by I. It means every time the value of I will get incremented by 1 and we are multiplying the existing value with the value of I. For your understanding purpose, we'll write down the result for every iteration, so you will come to know. Cout, write down the end L because it will start with the new line. That's it. This is your code. So final result will be cout. Now in short I will explain you the functionality. Before that we'll execute this program. So run this program. You can see this line, enter the number to calculate the factorial. So we will enter number 5 and press enter key. Now we'll understand the for loop, how it works. For the first time we know the value of I is equals to 1 and this condition it will check which is true. So the compiler will come to this and it will calculate this value and display. So which is 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. Second time when compiler come to this line, it goes to this increment operator I plus plus. The value of I will get incremented by 1 and previous value of fact is 1 and then 1 into 2 is equals to 2. The second time the value will be 2. Again once this printed, compiler will come here, it goes to the increment operator, it will check this condition. If the condition is true, again it will execute the code within this block. So fact is equals to right now is a 2 and the value of I is 3. So 2 multiplied by 3 is 6. So third line you can see the 6 value. Once the output is displayed, then again it goes to the increment operator and this statement, and it will increment the value of I is equals to 4. So then again it will check the condition. If this condition is true, this line will get executed. The current value of fact is 6 and the value of this is 4. So the value 24 will get displayed over here or calculated and stored into this fact. So similar way it will get executed till this condition is false. Once the condition is false, the statement below this curly bracket will get executed and the final result will be shown. The final result is 120 and this is a return statement. Now let's check this condition. The factorial of a negative number does not exist. Means we need to check the number whether it's positive or negative. If it is negative, display this message, and if the number is positive, we will calculate the factorial. Simple. So to check the whether the number is positive or negative, we need to use if statement. If num is greater than or equals to 0, we will execute this code. So we'll organize the code proper way. If the number is greater than or equals to 0, then execute this block, else display that message. What was that message? The factorial of a negative number does not exist. That's it. Now save this with the help of Ctrl S, run this program. Enter the number to calculate the factorial. So what we'll do is we'll write -5. The factorial of a negative number does not exist is the message displayed. So what is as per our requirement. So this is the output displayed on the console. Now let's try to enter the value which is 0 and the factorial of 0 is 1. Enter the value which is 0. The final result is 1, which is also working proper. I hope you understand this functionality. If you have any query, let me know. Third program, write a C++ program to print sum of 1 to 50 numbers. Means from 1 to 50 we have to calculate the sum of all these numbers, and for this we can use the for loop. For loop helps us to iterate for the multiple times, as we have seen in the second question. We'll create one file, sum 1 to 50. Give the extension .cpp. As we have discussed, hash include iostream, then using namespace std, then int main. Main is the main function from which the compiler start executing the program. Now we know that we have to calculate the sum from 1 to 50. So we don't have to ask user to enter the number. Okay, so that step will get avoided. Directly we can take int sum is equals to 0. So for sum we can initialize the variable with the value 0 instead of 1. In case of multiplication we assign the variable with value 1, and in case of addition we can assign 0. Now directly we can write down the for loop. For int I is equals to 1, I is less than equals to 50, I plus plus. We just have to calculate the sum. Sum is equals to sum plus I. That's it. And the final result of sum will be display outside. In the previous example, I had written one statement inside the for loop, cout. That was for your understanding. Now you know the concept, so I will not write that statement. So cout insertion operator. This is your insertion operator, and then you can write down in the double quotation sum of number from 1 to 50 is insertion operator and sum, then return 0. Save this program, Ctrl S, and run. and we can see the result over here is sum of number from 1 to 50 is 1275. So means 50 times this loop getting executed and sum is getting accumulated. This is a very simple program. If you find it in your exam, please don't skip or just write this program. Fourth program, write a C++ program to find the smallest among the three numbers. It means we need to write a program which will compare the three values and find out the smallest number. So we'll start with the hash include IOStream. IOStream is a header file we use for cin and cout. Then using namespace std int main. Execution of our program start with the main function. Now we'll write our program. For comparing three values, we need to have three variables. So we'll define three variables. Int a is equals to 5, b is equals to 9, c is equals to 11. So what we have done is we have declared three variables a, b, c and initialized the values to these variables here itself. You can ask the values for a, b, c from the user as well. So first we'll do this and then we'll write a code to get the values from user. So now we have values. We need to compare these values. So I will use AND operator to compare this value, which will be easy for us to work. For example, whether a is less than b and a is less than c. So what we are doing here, we are comparing the value of a with b and a with c. So these are the two different expressions, a is less than b and a is less than c. These are the two expressions. If these both expressions returns true, then only the result of this if statement will return true and this block will get executed. So we are saying, for example, this condition is true and this is also true. It means the result is true. So we can say here a is smallest number, right? Now either of the condition is false, either this or either this, then we need to write something else. Else if again we'll compare b with both of the numbers. B is less than a and b is less than c. Brackets are very important, so make sure you will give the proper brackets. Now we have compared b with a and b with c. It means if both the conditions or both the expressions, this expression and this expression returns true, then only the else if block will get executed and it will print this message. Either of this expression, first expression or second expression is false, it will come to the else block. And else, we know that we have compared A, if not then B. If both are false, then definitely C is the result. So we can write down into the C block. So this is our program. We'll save this program, Control S and run it. Here it's showing A is the smallest number. Now we'll change the value of A and run this program. Ideally B will be the smallest number. Let's see what it will do. You can see here B is the smallest number, right? Now we'll write this as a 19 and you can see the result. C is the smallest number. So our program is working as expected. So here we have initialized the values here we have initialized these values. So instead of this, now we'll try to take it from the user. So we can write cout, enter three numbers and cin used to get the input. See in extraction operator A, extraction operator B, extraction operator C. This is the way how you can get the values for three different variables in a same Cin line. For that, we'll remove this initialization. Okay. Now we'll run this program. Enter three numbers, right? So first number is 2, 6 and 1. C is the smallest number you got. So this is how we can get the values from user as well. This is very simple program. If you have any issues, let me know. I will help you out. Fifth program is write a C++ program to calculate the area of a circle. And you all know the formula for area of a circle is pi r square. And the value of pi is 3.14. So we have to ask user to enter the value of radius. Or you can initialize that value in the program itself. Write a program area of, as usual, we have to do first step hash include IO stream. Second step using namespace std. So two steps are done. Now the third step is main function int main brackets then curly brackets and write the code in this curly bracket. The compiler will start execution of a program from the main function. So now we know the value of pi, that is float pi is equals to 3.14. Need to take the input from the user for the radius. Float r, we can define pi as a constant value, const keyword, const data type, then variable name and then value. So this value will not change anywhere in the rest of the program. Now we'll ask user to enter the value. Cout insertion operator, enter the radius. Cin we use to capture the values entered by the user. So cin extraction operator and the name of a variable is r. Okay, so the value of r is now available with us. We have to calculate the area of a circle. We can define a variable over here, area. So area is equals to pi into r into r. We have calculated the value of area of a circle with the help of this particular formula, and now last step is just to display the result. Cout area of a circle is, and the value is stored into the area variable. Last step is return, return return 0. Control S, save the program and run. You can see here, enter the radius of a circle, which is we can enter 5. Area of a circle is 78.5 is the result. This is a very small simple program, so make sure you will learn this. Let's understand question number 6. Write a C++ program to perform addition of two numbers using user-defined sum function. Now we know that addition of two numbers means we need to add two numbers or two variables a plus b, and we have to display that addition. Then what is this user-defined function, which is called sum? So user-defined function is nothing but a group of statements that performs a task together. You can divide your code into separate functions. There are few functions which are defined in the library, or those are the predefined functions, and we ourselves can define functions as per the requirement. Like if you want to calculate the sum, we can write a block of statements where only sum will be done. Or for example, you want to perform the multiplication, then you can define the block in which the only multiplication will be done. So you can break down your application or a program into multiple small blocks, and those are known as user defined functions. Now let's write the program so you will understand it in a better way. User defined function. Extension will be CPP. Now the first step, as we know, hash include IO stream. Second step, using name space std. And third, which is the main step, is to write the main function. Int main brackets, in curly brackets we need to define the body of this function or operations this function is going to perform. This is basically system defined function, and the compiler start its execution from this main function. So similarly we have to define the function. It's very simple. Now I will tell you. We'll take void sum. See, you can see the similarity between the main function and this function. The body will be different. Now sum means we have to calculate the sum. Int a comma, we can define the values. Int a is equals to 9 comma b is equals to 10, and int sum is equals to a plus b, to perform the addition of two numbers using user defined function sum. And we can display the result. See out sum of two numbers sum. So this is done, right? So we have written this function. So this main function, compiler calls it automatically or start its execution from the main function. This is, we know that every time I tell you, okay, this is the main function from where the compiler start its execution. Now we need to tell someone to call this function as well to get executed. So what we'll do, we will call this sum function from the main function. So main function will take responsibility of calling this sum function. So the way of calling is simple. This statement, when the compiler comes to this statement, it will go to this particular function and execute this code. Is that simple? Now Control S, save this functionality. Okay, I will explain you what is meant by void and what is meant by int. Just give me some time. Okay, it's giving an error because we have not declared it. Either we need to declare up this function above, or we'll write Control X, the code above this main function. So you can see the result right over here. Sum of two numbers is 19. Now we can have more twist into this. This will be your final program. If you write in this way, you will get the marks, but there are variations. Just I will explain you. Okay, so what we have done, we have called this sum function from the main function. Now I want to pass the value from the main function. So instead of this, we can Control X, we'll write down this value over here, and we can pass this value of A and B to that function. Now what we can do, we need to do here int x comma int y, means we are passing the values to this function A and B, and these are the integer x and y variable will store the respective values of A and B into the x and y. Now instead of this, we can write down x plus y. The reason behind this is these are the local variables and we have defined within in this main functions. So these variables are unknown to this particular function, and that is the reason we need to pass these parameters. So these are the two parameters and we are getting the value of those two parameters into x and y. Okay, now we calculate and we'll get the result. Here we'll send the 90. So Control S. Now we can see the sum of two numbers is 99. So this is by passing parameters. Okay, now if I don't want to print this value over here, what I can do is return the result, return sum, and we need to do here int. Okay, and here we need to get int sum. Okay, so what we have done is we have calculated the sum into this some function and we are returning this value to the calling function, which is main function. Means when this statement get executed, it goes to this function, some function calculate the value of x plus y and return the result. This is a return type integer which we have written in front of sum. So it will return the result value of a sum to the calling function and the value will get stored into the result variable. And we can print over here cout. We'll change the value for your understanding. Control S and run it. See, the result of sum is 79. So I hope you are clear with this concept of sum. Multiple ways you can write down this same functionality. So first was the simple one without parameters, without return type. So you can write it down that way because nothing is mentioned over here. Pass the parameter or you need to return the result. Nothing is written over here. So first program was your final program, as you can say. So I will bring it back to that. So you can write down this in this way. It's very simple and straightforward. This is why, because question is very simple, so we'll write the function as well very simple. If you have any questions, let me know. I will reply you back or I will try to help you out. So we'll just revise what is user defined functions. A function is a group of statements that together performs a task. We have seen right now, and you can divide your program into separate functions. Or a function is a building block of a C++ that contains a set of statements which are executed when function is called. So we have seen the main function is calling to the sum function, or the sum function is called by the main function and then only it performs the operation. It takes some input data, performs the task and returns some result. We have seen this also. We have passed two values A and B and addition was done, task was performed and the sum result was returned to the calling function. Function can be called from anywhere in the program or any number of times, increasing the modularity and reusability. Means we can reuse that function multiple times. If you call it multiple times, instead of writing every time whenever needed, we can separate out that code and just call that whenever you want. So this is all about user defined functions. Question number 7, write a short note on operators in C++. So what is an operator? An operator is a symbol that tells the compiler to perform specific mathematical or logical manipulations on given values or on the variables. There are many built-in operators in C++ which are listed below. Arithmetic operators, plus, minus, multiplication, modulus and division. So the percentage sign over here is used for the finding remainder of a given number. We'll have a look into the file which is provided by the college. Actually, I have created separate videos on each of the operators. You can have a look on this once I upload on the YouTube. So arithmetic operators, plus, minus, multiplication, division and modulus, as I have told you. So these are very simple, straightforward. The examples are also given over here. A plus B will give 30. So considering the mathematical manipulations are over here. Relational operators equal to checks if the value of two operands are equal or not. It means whether the value of A is equals to value of a B. If the value of A is equals to value of B, means both the A A and B variable have same value, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Not equals to means if the value of A is not equals to the value of B, then only it returns true. Now this operator greater than, the third operator is greater than, it will check if the A is greater than B, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Means all these relational operators will either return true or will return false. Less than operator, whether A is less than B, if it is yes, then it returns true, else it returns false. Now this is bit different. A is greater than equals to B. For example, A is not greater than but it's equal to B, then it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Means we are checking equal to also. Whenever in case if you want to check the condition till that value is equals to particular value or greater than that time you can use this operator. So similarly less than and equals to works. Logical operators. There are three type of logical operators, and second is or, and third one is not. So AND operator works on the two different expressions or two different operands. If both are true, then only it will return true, else it will return false. So we understood this logical and, logical or, logical not. These are the logical operators. We'll try to understand when it will return true and when it will return false. For logical AND operator, the logical AND operator is a binary operator that returns true only if both the expressions operands are true. Otherwise, if one of the operand is false, then it returns false. What does it means? For example, you have two expressions, expression 1 and expression 2. Then if both are returns true, then only the result will be true. Otherwise, either of the expression returns false, then the result will be false. As you can see, only expression 1 is true, expression 2 is true, result will be true. If expression 1 is true but the expression second is false, the result will be false. So this way it works. And exactly opposite is OR operator. The logical OR operator is a binary operator. Binary means it works on two variables, two expressions. So this is binary. Unary means it operates on one operand, one variable, one value, that is unary. The logical operator OR is a binary operator that returns true if at least one of the expression is true. It returns false only if both the expressions are false. You can see here, first expression returns true, second expression returns true, the result is true. First expression true but second expression is false, even though it's returning true. It means it checks either of the expression should return true, then only the result will be true. If both, last statement you can see, if both the expressions are false, then only the result is false. I have created separate video on each and every operator with examples and with a lot of more information on that. So you please go and watch them once I started uploading on the YouTube. Then assignment operators. So you can just mention the names of operators and operator into that. You don't have to give the explanations or descriptions because the question will be for 5 marks. So you just give the definition and give the names of operators and mention operators in front of that. You don't have to give the examples and description of each and every operator. But for your information, I'm just explaining you. Assignment operator is equals to, we all know, it helps us to assign the value. For example, you can see C is equals to A plus B, means the addition of A plus B will be stored into the variable C or will be assigned to variable C. Plus and equals to, it means the first plus operation will be performed and then value will be assigned to the particular variable. Here I will explain you. C plus is equals to A means it will add the value of a c into the variable a, and whatever it may be, the result of this expression will be stored into the variable c. Similarly, minus and equals to, the value of a c will be the value of a will be subtracted from the value of c, and the result will be assigned to the variable c. Similarly, multiplication and division also works. Insertion operator and extraction operator, we have spoke about these two operators multiple times while C in and C out. So I think this will be sufficient for you to understand the operators in C++. The question number 7, what is an array? Explain how to define an array with the example. So first we'll understand what is array. An array is a derived data type that is used to store multiple values of a similar data type in a consecutive memory location under a single variable name. So first we'll try to understand what is meant by derived data type. So basically we have multiple data types like integer, float, character, double. So these are the basic data type, and from this basic data type array we have derived it. When we come to the example, we'll understand this meaning of the derived. What array does, stores multiple values of a similar data type. Now we know that the variables are used to store the single variable. For example, int number is equals to 50. So we can store this value 50 into the variable number. But in the arrays, we can store multiple values of a similar data type. Means either integer, either character, numbers, whatever it may be. So the same data type values we can store into the arrays, and not a single value, we can store multiple values. So those values will be stored into the memory in a consecutive memory locations under a single variable name. So we don't have to give, for example, we have 100 values stored into the array, so there will be a single name. We will understand this. Let me first explain. Okay, the syntax is data type, integer, character, float, double, whatever it may be, name of a array, and the size of array. Size means how many values you want to store into this array. As we know that we can store multiple values, so give the size 10, 20, 100, 1000, whatever it may be. So that number of values we can store into this single variable. The example is int student marks. I have given over here 5. It means the student marks is the name of a variable or array, and in bracket I have given you the value 5. Means this student marks array can store 5 values into it, and the data type is integer. So why we are saying derived data type? Because this is derived from integer. So it depends whether either you use integer, string, whatever it may be. So that is the reason we called derived data type. And these are the, in the curly bracket we have given the values which are stored into the students marks array. Comma separated values are basically. Okay, so we have said that consecutive memory location under single variable name. So we now know that student marks is a single variable name, and the size of array is 5, and consecutive memory locations you can see I have shown here 88, 99, 87, 98 and 77. These are the values stored in the consecutive memory location with the single variable name student marks. Now second point is element of array can be accessed using the index. Okay, so all these are called elements. These all are the array elements. How many elements are there in the array? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 elements in the array. Now you got the meaning of element, and what is meant by index we'll try to understand now. So the first element will be stored at the 0th index. second element at the first index, third is at the second, means index of an array start with the 0 and end with the size minus 1. So these are the index. So if you want to access the first element of an array, so we need to say that student marks of index 0. So we'll get the value 88. We'll see in the example. I hope you are clear, and we need to declare the array before it is used in the program, that we know that every variable we need to declare before using it in the program. So let's write one simple program. Now let's write one program, new file, array ex, array example.cpp. cpp is an extension. So first step is hash include iostream, second is using namespace std, right? Third step, we need to define the main function from where our compiler execute this program. So main, within in this we'll try to write array integer student marks square bracket, within in that bracket we'll write 5. 5 is the size of the array, and student marks is the name of array, and int is the data type of array. So when we are saying int, it means only integer values we can store into this array, and those values we can write down into this curly bracket. So we'll write down those values 89, 97. Okay, so we have declared the array. Now how we can access the value of these arrays? We can say that we can use for loop. For int I is equals to, make sure you will start with the 0, I is less than 5, not equals to, and plus plus. I will explain you the details. Okay, int I is equals to 0, why have I written? Because index of element of an array start with the 0. So if we want to access the first element, it should start with the 0. That is the reason. And less than 5, because we are starting from the 0, so it should be less than 5. Now we'll print cout element of array r. How to access the array element is a interesting factor. For example, this is a name of our array. You have to give the square bracket, and within in a square bracket, if you want to access the first element, you just have to write 0. If you want to access first element, second element, 1, 2, 3 accordingly. So now we have an I variable which is having an initial value 0, and at every iteration the value of I will be increased by 1. So we can write over here I, means it will give the value of array. Index I. Element of array 88 at index 0, element of array 89 at index 1, and like this. So now you got how it works and how we can access. So two things we need to understand is declaration of an array and how to access the element of an array. As per the question, these two things are important. You can write in a multiple ways. Instead of defining these fixed values, you can ask from the user. The way we have used here cout, you can use cin and add the values into this array. So you got the basic concept of array. I have created a video with more details in array and with multiple examples, so you can watch them once I upload on the YouTube channel. So what is a variable? In C++, variable is a name given to the memory location where we can store the value. So for example, int count is equals to 10 means count is a name of a variable and data type is a int, means in the count variable we can save the value of integer type, which is now we have assigned is a 10. So when we declare this variable and initialize the value 10, actually compiler will reserve the memory space for this count variable in the RAM, and the value 10 will store into that particular memory slot. So the name given to that memory slot is nothing but the variable name, and value stored in this variable can be accessed and processed during the program execution. So we know that whenever we are storing the value in any variable, we are using for the calculation or any other purpose as well. So we need to know the variable rules. The first rule is name can consist of alphabet, digits and underscores. White space and special characters are not allowed. Let's have an example, then only we'll understand. We'll write into this program itself. We'll remove this. So when I say int marks is equals to 100, okay, so I can say the alphabets, I can write the name of variable, combination of characters and numbers, I can use underscore into this. Okay, so first rule you understood. The second is white space and special characters are not allowed. Means white space is something like this, marks 11 or first student. This type of variable name is not allowed. So either you can give underscore over here like this, it will work fine. First character must be alphabet or underscore. So the name of variable, the name of variable must be start with the either underscore or either with the alphabet. If I try to start with the number, it will not work. It will show the error if you can see underscore. So expected an identifier. So it will not allow you to start with the numbers. Only underscore and alphabet are allowed. Variable name must be case sensitive. Okay, now C++ language is case sensitive, and you know that marks, these capital marks and small marks, these two variable are the different, and computer or compiler will allocate the separate memory slots for these two variables, because first one is start with the capital and small, second one is with small, and these values will get stored into the respective variables. So always the name of variable should be descriptive and meaningful, otherwise if you write a huge code and if you say a b c d, in future you will not understand the purpose of those variables. Avoid single letter names. You will not understand what is meant by m, but instead of that if you write marks, you will understand yes, this variable is storing the value marks. Avoid reserve keywords. Definitely these reserve keywords are not allowed. So int is a reserve keyword, namespace is also reserve keyword, or all the data types for loop, for it will give an error expected identifier, because reserve keywords will have a special meaning to them and those cannot use as a variable name. So these are the rules for variable names. That's it, everything is done. I have created videos on each and every topic related to your 12th class in a detail, so you can subscribe this channel and you will be having an access to the all videos, and I will try to solve the question papers of previous years as well, so those will be helpful for you to understand. So please subscribe the channel.